Howard Lindzan is the founder and general partner at Social Leverage. All opinions expressed by Howard and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Social Leverage or Stocktwits. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for decisions. Guests may maintain positions and securities discussed in this podcast.
Hello, this is President Donald Trump, and you're listening to Lindzanity with Howard Lindzan. I hate that guy.
Hey everybody, welcome to an episode of Lindzanity. I have Phil Pearlman, one of my oldest friends and enemies and acquaintances, and hairy guy in the studio today, and we're going to talk about everything from the new Stocktwits launch, where Phil just came back to work, to his days at Yahoo, to market behavior and shrinkology. Welcome, Schmerlman. The Schmerlman Schmenzer.
What's up, Schmenzer?
So we go way back.
Dude, great to be here. Great to see you. I won't take my clothes off, though. He wanted to do a
topless
podcasting.
Yeah.
Not having that.
How about tapas podcast?
Tapas, that sounds fantastic. I'm ready for
So
that.
probably nothing will get less than my conversation with Jason Erasnick will get done on this convo. But I have a framework for what we need to talk about, so we don't get off subject.
What are we going to do?
I think. Are you Jewish? Schmerlman. All right. So Phil and I go way back. We've done.
We've been around.
We've been around.
I think I was.
We've shared a couple
investor.
gummies. We've shared a couple gummies.
Shared a couple gummies together.
Yeah.
I may have been one of the first investors in Social Leverage. I remember you calling me and being like, "I'm calling it Social Leverage," and I was like,
"Did you like the name?
I love that name.
Isn't
I'm in."
A great name.
Yeah.
And we've done.
That was
walks
like what,
together.
08,
We've
09?
We've shared beds together. We've spooned.
Yeah, we spooned.
So Phil
not my
was,
best moment.
I think, number one hire at Stocktwits, maybe by me.
Yeah.
You came in to build Stocktwits community. You are a shrink. Define your shrinkage?
I'm a psychologist.
So you can't issue drugs?
No drugs.
Have you ever interested in issuing drugs?
Yes.
Do you believe? Would that have been more school? Would that have been more school?
I would have written prescriptions for myself.
Would that have been more school? Is that why you didn't do it?
I was not interested in that.
Okay.
I was
but
interested
your wife can
in
issue drugs.
No, she's a
also
PhD.
not.
She's a child psychologist.
She's a child. She did stuff with nine. Your wife's a
She
legend.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Much better half.
Does she know that we're actually
blessed out of my
chatting?
mind. I don't think she wants me to ever see you or talk to you again, to be honest with you.
So you came into Stocktwits. We met on Fred Wilson's blog, maybe?
We met Fred Wilson's blog going back in the day.
05,
I mean, this
04.
is yeah.
You had 8 Fat Swine.
8 Fat Swine.
What is 8?
Brought that back.
Yeah, you've brought that back to your blog. But what is 8 Fat Swine?
8 Fat Swine was my blog back in the day, and I was writing about investor behavior, behavior economics, user experience. But the etymology of the name comes from the tulip mania in the 17th century in Europe.
The original bubble.
One of the
original.
Bubbles are infinite. They go back to the beginning of time. There was probably a I don't know, wheat bubble, like 10,000 years ago, or whatever. But that was a price someone once paid for one Semper Augustus tulip bulb back in the day. So you can, the relative value of that is insane. 8 fat swine for one tulip bulb now costs 10 cents.
It's 8 swines?
No, 8 pigs.
8 pigs.
8 fat pigs. That's a lot of good eating.
Bacon.
Yeah, it's a lot of bacon.
And so some idiot paid 8 fat swine for that.
Somebody who really wanted a tulip bulb very badly. I'm not going to say they're an idiot. I'm not going to say they overpaid, but their subjective priority.
And because pigs were expensive back then?
Pigs were expensive.
And so you got that name. We kind of hit it off right away. Why did the market? Why as a shrink?
Yeah.
Why do you love you love the market? But you're able to just walk away from them too. But why do you love the market?
I love the market because it is this incredibly volatile human experience. Right? People experience emotions. As a matter of fact, so I brought it back, and one of my main purposes of bringing it back was to dive into some of the criticisms that I have of the current state of behavioral economics, behavioral finance. It's so big now. It's so popular. People talking about it.
Because it is the only thing that kind of gives you an edge.
There's an edge there, but I think that the field is a young science. It's only like a 40-year-old. I think it has a lot of really serious problems. And so, what were we just talking about?
We were just talking about the markets.
Oh,
you love the markets.
so there's all of this
This is
emotion.
how this is going to go. You're going to count on me to remember.
Oh my God! Are you
Okay,
kidding me?
terrible.
It's ridiculous. I'm going to call you up at 3 a.m. I would be like,
What are we
what
talking
was I
about?"
talking about? So all of this emotion, and emotion is the one thing that is just a mystery still. Like there's, I mean, you can define it. There's models. There's all kinds of different theories around emotional models and how it affects behavior and how it affects thinking and experience and whatever. But it's the toughest thing to crack. You can't just say, if you buy or sell, I know your behavior in the market.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
If I ask you what you think, you could tell me. If I ask you what you're feeling, all of a sudden it gets very mushy and soft. So that emotion, and then the drama. It's a story. There's great stories. The Tulip Mania. What a great. I mean, that comes from that book, McKay's book, Popular Delusions, Madness, Crowds.
Great book.
Great book.
Okay.
Written like, I don't know, it must be close to 200 years ago.
And you can buy it
Written in
on
the
Amazon?
1800s. Highly recommend.
Okay.
I mean, one of the classics of anybody who's interested in any type of
Investing, market.
investing, lunacy, behavioral economics, market experience, market behavior. It's gotta read.
So you love markets. You go to school. You were born in Baltimore?
I was born in Baltimore. Big crab guy.
Were you in The
big
Wire?
Ravens guy.
Were you
I was
ever
in
an
The
extra
Wire.
in The Wire?
So growing up, my dad had a pharmacy on North Avenue. Of
course you did.
Tough area. And I used to go down there and I never thought twice about it. And I'd work there, would sell cigarettes.
During the crack boom?
It was I didn't really think about it. I don't know how bad it was down there. It was not it was an urban, low socioeconomic status area.
Right.
But
it was a poverty thing.
it was I don't know about poverty, but there was all kinds of characters and it was an interesting,
But was
really interesting.
Baltimore ever a great place? It obviously was at some point. Did you ever
Baltimore's
see it?
a great place. I love Baltimore.
Still a
That's
great
the crazy thing. I mean, I love the food there. The people, it's a very modest, blue-collar-y kind of feel. People are great there. It's got serious problems, but a lot of cities have serious problems, but it's got serious problems. And but it's a great town, great sports history.
And so where'd you go to school?
Went to Maryland.
So you
Went to-
Maryland, it's a good school? And you
Maryland.
studied shrinkology?
Back then, Maryland was a party school.
Okay.
Like it got good after I left.
'Cause you were a partier.
Like if I applied then, if I applied today, I'd never get in with what I had going on. But then I didn't. I was in state, and I was a total partier. Like I didn't start getting my shit together until I met Michelle.
Okay. And you met Michelle at college?
I met Michelle in grad school.
Okay. So you
So
go
I
to
get
grad
out.
school to do what? Just become a doctor?
To become a psychologist. Yeah.
But isn't a psychologist a doctor?
Yeah, it's a doctor.
Do you have to
but it's
take
not
the
an
MCATs?
MD.
You don't have to
No,
take
it's not a
MCAT?
medicine.
There's no
It's
entry
like
exam?
a PhD.
It's like a PhD.
Yeah.
And you loved it right away?
I did love it. I did, and actually it got me into finance and behavioral economics. So I had a Daytech account. Remember Daytech? Like way back in the day, I had a Daytech account, and I was trading crazy stocks.
So who got you into that?
I think my brother and my brother-in-law.
Okay.
My brother-in-law Barry Weisberg.
Okay.
Just such a shout out, Barry. You're the
Barry.
man. Yeah, great guy. And my brother, they were like day trading at the early, they were like, well, Barry was a broker and Vic was a day trader, and they were crazy.
Vic's not Jewish.
Victor Pearlman.
His name is Victor
That's my
Pearlman?
brother.
Oh, so
He's the
Victor
greatest guy in the
Pearlman?
world. Yeah.
That's
You
a
never
cool
met Vic
name.
before? I don't know.
No.
You maybe you never met him.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So Vic P, VP, the
VP. So they were like traders. So they got me. So I had my first job out of school. I was a teacher. I was a special ed teacher.
Oh, you Lord.
Oh my God! And I could barely keep my shit together then.
Yeah.
I was like, I had two lives, like split lives. Like one was like party my brains out, and then the other was like get to school and be a middle school teacher for kids, special education kids.
Oh,
It was
special
like
ed.
so split. Now looking back, both sides were dissociated from the other, and then I went. Then I went back to. So I was like, okay, I'll be a child psychologist. I mean, these kids really need it. I want to serve that. So I went back and went back to DC. Got into a program there, and as I got deeper and deeper into it, was just around the time the NASDAQ bubble was going crazy.
Okay.
And I was like, holy shit, this is mania. Like I'm studying bipolar disorder and, manic depression is what that is. And I'm like, oh my God, this is freaking mania. So I got really, really bearish early. I made a good amount of money because, then I tried to like short Amazon. I remember
trying Yahoo message board days.
Yahoo message boards. That was like the late 90s. I met like Gregor McDonald there.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So you were guys getting short on Amazon.
Dude, I got short on Amazon like 84 and went to like 113.
Oh, well, that's
so I was
not
early.
bad.
Not that bad. No, it wasn't that early. I mean, I went on internship. That's when I started. It was in September of '99. So I kind of got lucky. And then I went, and there was this guy who was an expert at Rorschach test, inkblot test for bipolar disorder. And that's when it hit me because I was studying with this guy, and he was really cool, kind of freaky guy, but he was an expert with the inkblots and bipolar mania. Like he knew all about it. And then I was like, wow, man, this is a mania. This is what it's like. And then I got like end of the world. I got like all end of the world bearish. I was probably about 6 months early, 5-6 months early.
And did you hang in there, or you just lost money?
I took the stop at 100.
Okay,
so I went to 113. I didn't get hit that bad, but it actually turned out pretty good because I got out of the market.
Yeah.
So I saved losing a lot of money, got nicked here and there, but didn't get crushed. So it was actually fortunate.
Okay.
It actually kind of got lucky.
And what do you feel about timing today? You don't time.
Now I'm, how I feel now. It's like if you're going to do that, you can do it. I think some people can do it, and I think it's very hard. It's super demanding. It takes. You know what? It's like being a pro ball player.
Yeah,
it's your
it has
life.
to be your life. Everything you do is about the tick.
Well, you're an investor. You're a private. You invest in private companies, small companies. I'm
not glued to a screen. I'm not glued to my phone. Worrying.
Yeah, but you're obsessed, and I know this for a fact because when we have dinner, the conversation always comes back to these small companies that you're talking about and looking at.
Yeah, but I don't have to like go to the board. I don't have to be involved in their drama and all. Like whereas with when I was running a hedge fund and you were running a hedge fund yourself, it's like you never could get outside of it. Meaning I love talking about startups, but I'm not worried about their prices and their money raises. They're working or they're not working. It's really not that much more complicated.
With the private companies, it's a longer time horizon.
They're working or they're not working.
Yes.
They have big problems or little problems.
It's much
They always
better.
have problems.
The ticker is poison.
Poison.
Yeah.
Poison.
Poison. Very difficult.
And that's why I say, like, the greatest gift is that the Vanguard exists. It takes away the need to watch the ticker.
Right. So if you have to be if you're going to be a professional in that domain, if you want to be successful in that domain, you have to be consumed 24/7, 365 forever.
It's not healthy.
Yeah.
It's not normal.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's not
It's
normal.
demanding. Plus all the vicissitudes I was talking about
Only machines are
before
gonna win
about
that.
those emotions. You got that happening all the time. So it's all this attention and then all this emotion.
And it's just wrong attention. So I think that's a good thing that the indexes exist in this era because kids are already attached to their machines. I think it's fun to see people try and understand the markets, but at the same time, it's not a healthy lifestyle.
I remember sort of early on in the internet and then really early on in social, I always thought that, people are obsessed now, but as soon as we sort of attenuate to the internet, people will get used to it and it'll calm down. I was completely wrong about that. It went completely the other way, and everybody's more zoned into screens than they ever were before.
Yeah, but I now believe to get out of this funk, we're either going to die, driving off the road, and it can happen to any of us, even if we don't use our phones that much. But I'm like, turn it over, and I hardly, I'm getting much better about what and when I engage with in my time. Like today, I've done 4 podcasts in a row. I'm like on my game and I haven't had to take Adderall, meaning like there's a job to do and I do it. And I'm trying, it's a battle. It's a drug. The phone is a drug.
It's a drug. That's a
but
good
I
that's a
feel
good
like
analogy.
I've got it in a spot where I'm okay with.
The do not disturb feature is a great feature.
So what does
Primary
that mean?
feature. That's on. Well, I have the Android, and you just flip on do not disturb, and it turns everything off on your phone.
Okay, I don't have anything. I don't have alerts anyways, but I just turn my phone over.
I just do that. I do it in the evening. I do it at meals. I do it. And I do it like when I'm exercising.
Yeah, you're either going to be owned by the phone or you own the phone.
Yeah, it's either a tool or a drug.
Yeah. And I think it's both. So unfortunately, I'm trying to deal with it.
Right.
I think I've gotten way better at it. So then you go and do a hedge fund.
Right.
Because
so I'm all into the behavioral stuff. I meet this guy on the golf course, beautiful guy in Brooklyn, by the way. He lives in Brooklyn. Beautiful guy, MD at Royal Bank of Canada, Diego Jaleo, and
Okay.
And he's starting a hedge fund, and he's like, and we're talking about behavioral stuff, and he just like invited me in, and I was lucky again because it was like 2002 we started it right at the bottom. So we started with like $5 million, and we came up with this behavioral model that was like based on like the stuff that I knew about, and it was like it was earnings momentum model. Mm-hmm. That's all. I mean, that was basically what it was. But there was like this behavioral, academic language around it that made it sound really good to investors. So we went with that, But it was actually good timing for it because we were having a recovery. So these small stocks that are undercovered that tend to outperform relative to their expectations, it's great for those stocks during a recovery. The recovery is a great time for small cap growth. They outperform, business is better than expectations. It takes 3, 4, 5 quarters sometimes for the expectation to catch up with the performance. So it was like a perfect model at the perfect time. And the only reason that we did it is because it sounded good, and it was really, I didn't know that much more.
And then we meet, and I convinced you to come to Stocktwits.
Yeah.
So you were there day one. Like, what did we learn? What do you think we did right and wrong?
It was an amazing time.
It's 2000.
You were on your game then. I mean, you hadn't, the senility hadn't started kicking in yet. So back then you still had it up here, and it was all happening. I mean, I remember. You invested in that. And social leverage was great. I remember you invested in that.
By the way, it's still good.
Twitter search. Yeah, it's still even bigger and better now. You've done a phenomenal job. I mean, I hate to give you any kudos whatsoever ever, because I know immediately you're like, boo.
Look at my head.
Yeah, it's no longer fitting.
It didn't fit.
Hate to do it.
So tight.
But you've done a hell of a job there, and I remember you invested like this in that social search that Twitter bought,
and
TweetDeck, Surmise, that's what the name of it. You were just on it then, and the whole Stocktwits thing was amazing. And I was like, okay, let's do it. I'm in. I was kind of sick of the hedge fund thing. I was sick of the grind. It was like every day I would walk into this office. We had this like hedge fund hotel office down on Wall Street, 48 Wall, beautiful building, old Bank of New York building.
Kind of like WeWork, but for hedge funds.
WeWork for hedge funds, and it was like 4 screens.
Yeah.
And you just
stupid life.
It was stupid. And it was great. I mean, a great opportunity, but it was
great,
stupid.
But in hindsight, it's the dumbest thing.
After 4 or 5 years, it was brutal. And what you were doing, I saw what you were doing. I knew, I understood. Like I was like, oh my God, that's fucking great. The cash tag, the whole thing. And I was like, okay, I'm in. And the thing I think that was amazing to me right off the bat was not only, there were 2 things. One was the community. One was like, you can build a community. You can build like this massive group of people that has drama, has leaders, has followers, has conflict, has causes, has everything that a community has. It's virtual and it's vertical. So it's centered around, and you see this with all social networks, but we were so close to it. We were seeing it firsthand, and we were trying to foster it.
Yeah.
It's
a terrible business. Like in the end, someone should have pulled me aside and said, what are you wasting your time building a community? But, I have no regrets. I'm just saying, like, when you take yourself outside of it, it's like, it's the dumbest thing to try and build because it's so hard to keep communities together. And monetizing communities is hard unless you have massive scale.
Well, I think we have a great opportunity right now.
Oh, no.
So
but
me
I'm saying,
coming back to Stocktwits is like,
so flash
okay,
forward,
to become a broker.
You left for how many years?
Left for about 6 years.
Stocktwits, you've been gone that long?
Yeah.
So you just came back. What are you working on at Stocktwits?
Here's what happened. So I go in and I see Justin and I see Ian, and they show me. They become a broker dealer. I knew that I'm an investor, and I knew that ST Invest was happening, and they show me the product called Trade App. We're planning to launch it very soon.
Yeah.
And I looked at the product and I was like, this is really cool. Yeah. And there is a social component to it. Yeah. So it's a trading app with a social layer to it. Fucking cool. Yeah. So I was psyched about that. So I was like, this is really cool. So then they call me like the next day. And they were like, well, we would love for you to come in and help us launch this, help us build community around it, media, that whole thing. I was like, this sounds like a lot of fun.
Marketing job at a bank, so.
Yes. Yeah. Great bank. Can't really talk about anything related to that, but great experience there, great people there. Public company, amazing, amazing company.
You learned a lot there.
Learned a ton there about managing, running a big budget, running a department at a learned a lot about banking. Yeah. So learned a ton there. I have no regrets.
Off topic, just what do you think of non-bank banks? Are they businesses like Chime, or are they just cool things?
I think that space is a super fascinating space. I think some of them are real businesses. I think most of them are not.
Yeah, because you got to own the bank.
You got to be a bank.
Yeah.
The sooner the sooner there are banks, and then there are a couple banks out there a couple real banks out there that get it. I'm not gonna go into that much, but I think most of the challenger ones have a real problem unless they're a real bank.
In the 6 years that you've disappeared or went off to do other things, conquest, what is the difference about Stocktwits or the team or the vision?
Well, one thing that's blown me away about that is that it has continued to grow.
Yeah.
So we used to get that email every day with the stats in it.
Yeah.
And I remember you would send me, we would have this crazy big day, and then I'd get an email from you at 1 a.m. forwarding the email I had already gotten, but just did you see how many charts were posted today? And it was a lot. So I started getting those emails again. And it's it's 10 times what it was then. Yeah. So the community's continued to grow massively. And then the other thing that's really interesting, it's so big now. It's never going to have the scale like Facebook has or Twitter has, because that is horizontal and vertical. This is much more vertical. But what I've noticed also is that there are sub-verticals. So there's people who are just interested in this. There's people who are just interested in this. There's people who are focused on this. There's people who have rooms in this. So it's become larger, a lot larger. It's become more complex. I think that presents bigger challenges on the community development side, but it also creates more opportunity on the revenue side and on the product side.
And what? So Ian and Justin convinced you to come on.
Yeah, so they were like, hey, and so I was like, wow, so I tweeted right when I walked out of the meeting, I was like, hey, really cool, people are going to be blown away. This is a really cool product that they're developing here. So they were like, why don't you come do this? I was like, okay, talk with my wife, my much better half.
Now you're going in every day to the office, so that's different.
I think Fridays are not going to be a day I go in.
All right.
I went in last Friday. Getting home was
a nightmare.
Pig fucker.
So, and what do you? So you went for a while without tweeting. So
I went off the map. I had to get control of my shit. Like we were talking about the phone before. Yeah. I had to get control of myself because it is a drug. Yeah. And so I had to wean myself off of social. Haven't posted on Instagram in probably 2-3 years.
Yeah. I don't know what your
haven't
kids
posted
look
on
like
Facebook in years. You don't even know what my kids look like.
Yeah, thank
anymore.
God. Because they look a little bit like
a little
you,
like me. Much
me.
More attractive than me.
So now that you're back, are you back posting and sharing again?
A little more, but I'll never be the way that I was. We were junkies, dude. Remember when the financial crisis was happening? And I'll never forget this. The first, the first person to post something, it could have been I remember there were weekends where shit was happening, Lehman was going under and was on. The first person to post something, whether it was me or you or Joe Wiesenthal or whoever, got the kudos. Oh, they had it first. It could be 30 seconds before somebody else posting it. That triggers your, the same thing that drugs trigger in your brain that get you off.
Well, Joe still gets off on that. I know that
he's an expert.
He's an expert, and he's an influencer.
He's a master. But there's that old expression that the child is father to the man. Right? And that is a very psychological thing. It's a very human developmental thing. Experiences that you have when you're a child affect your development and affect who and what you become in a lot of ways. Not completely, not totally deterministic. We can change paths, but it has a huge influence. So I think that the origin story of a company in a way, a company is like a living, breathing entity.
Sure.
You really know this because of, being an angel investor, you see that stage, that infant stage. It has a lot of effect. So if you read a book, so we were there, so we saw a lot of it firsthand.
I couldn't read the book because I didn't know if I trusted any of the stories.
But
you liked it?
It jibed with what we saw. I mean, we were talking about it all the time back then. We were having these conversations like,
But Twitter was
it
such
jibed.
a fun thing, It was started out of like, I think the intentions were good.
Genius.
Yeah,
they
like
did it.
Jack is no dummy. Like, he's a genius.
They did
the
it.
intentions at the beginning were good. Well, I don't. Where I think I don't blame or judge. Where I think it's a shame is, like, he must have been such a different person back then. Like, I mean, have some courage and like, you built this thing for a reason. And you're letting people just stampede all over it. Like, with the rules. I mean, you and I are so close to this because of rules and regs and house rules. You built our house rules, and they're like simple. And like, what? Go try and read terms of use of Twitter. Like, what?
Did you ever read Annie Duke's book, Thinking in Bets? Have you?
She's on Twitter, right?
She's
smart.
Great.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I haven't read the book, but
great book. But she talks about, she's a poker player, professional, a successful poker player, and as well as being like a really brilliant decision theorist, which is really behavioral economics, and she talks about when you're playing poker, how many decisions you make, and in a small period of time. Like in an hour, you're making thousands of decisions, right? I mean,
which is why I hate poker. I don't want to do that in my spare time.
It's very challenging, very difficult, especially at that very high level.
Absolutely.
And the thing about it is each decision is based on some process or some thinking through,
Much
and
like trading.
you can make the exact same decision in the exact same situation twice and have completely different outcomes. So it's
why I hate
unknown.
poker.
It's under uncertainty, right? It's decision making under conditions of uncertainty.
You're just like punishing yourself
rapid
if you
fire.
like poker.
Starting a company, especially one that is juggernaut, is exactly the same thing.
I
So I don't
understand.
even blame Jack and
It's
Ed
not
and all
about
those
blaming them.
guys.
They're not respecting the fact that most of it is just magic and luck. They right place, right time, and then they're like form fitting all their genius.
They're making 1,000. They're imperfect humans, imperfect decision makers, making 1,000 difficult
But there's
decisions
some-
that are
but there's
stressful
some
under a
difficult
very.
decisions that have to be made over others. So where do you feel on the way they do terms of use and Trump, for example?
A lot of
Would
things.
Trump have survived on Stocktwits?
I'm not even talking about that.
Well,
I'm
I'm
not
saying,
even
would
talking
you-
about politics with you.
No,
I
I'm not
have
talking.
zero desire to go there at all.
No, I'm talking about behavior. If we had a person acting like Trump on our platform,
If somebody very, 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 very explosive and famous came on our platform,
you would just cater to them.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Fair enough.
They could increase the size of the platform by 5-fold overnight, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, now you have to look in the mirror and make some really hard decisions. And I'm sure those guys. I'm sure
We
it's not
kicked
easy
off
for them.
so many people.
Yes.
Our concern was we're kicking off the next Kramer, and I was like, whatever. I don't go fucking shit on
I'm
somebody
sure
else's.
we made some mistakes.
Of course we did. No, obviously we're not billionaires, so of course we made mistakes. I mean, hello. Now it's only on your hands. So going forward, how do you think about community for Stocktwits?
Now we're going to have
because you have to get caught up. Yeah,
We're going to have
Now
a
there's a new
really
layer
interesting
because of the brokerage.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I mean, this to me is really exciting because it's emergent.
Yeah.
It's completely new.
It's new.
We have no idea. There's
We're
never been
breaking
a
ground.
social.
I don't think people even
there's never been a
appreciate it
social
yet.
trading platform before.
Yeah, I'm proud that we just even tried to do this. If you had said, like, the fact that E-Trade and Ameritrade haven't gone after this market is a joke.
That's exactly the conversation that I had with Justin and Ian that day. As a matter of fact, I was like, "You guys are going for it. I love this."
Yeah.
Because it's
I wouldn't have done it. I was like, Ian, congrad, because I don't even think we should apply.
It could go the wrong way.
Yeah.
It could be like nobody does it because you have. I mean, Andy Weissman, his like signature is "Real Names Be Proof," which is an old lyric in an old punk rock song, and I always love that, man. But now it's going to be "Real Trades Be Proof," right? Because
What? Oh, you can't talk about it?
I don't know how much we would talk about it, but it's a social layer to the cha-cha.
Yeah.
I can't really. I mean, it depends when this when this program comes
We'll
out.
air
I
it
guess
just
we can.
before.
I'll just okay.
So
okay.
go ahead.
Cool.
So
So now it's going to be there's going to be like a verifiability component to it, and it's going to be like a social layer, but a real broker, not just what you're talking about.
So we call it trade casting because we'll air this when it
well,
launches.
trade app.
Trade
yeah,
app,
okay,
but
so trade.
So explain the feature, how you see it.
Well, it's really cool, and nobody's ever done anything like it. We will not air this.
No, we won't. Don't worry.
Before the 20th.
Don't worry, I won't.
Before we launch.
You don't
Okay.
have to.
So TradeCast is basically like it's like Snapchat or TikTok for a brokerage, where you go in a trade, you enter a trade, and you cast that trade like a moment or a story from one of the social, from one of the social platforms, and it's live, and it has your entry, it has how much you're in it, it has the price, it has.
You don't have to do it, but you can.
You don't have to do it. You can do it privately, so it's just like a trade journal.
Yeah.
You can do it
Share it with
just
your
in
mom.
front of. You can just share it with the people that you want to share it with, or you can make it public and tweet it out on other or message it out on other
Basically,
places.
a live living event.
It's also, remember we were talking about what's great about the market is the stories. Before, in the early, you were asking me about the bubbles and all that. You could tell the story. I'm in it. This is why. It goes the other way. Your losses too. I mean, if there's going to be. I mean, part of our bet is that there's going to be some people out there who have the willingness and the self-assuredness to share not just their great stuff, but their bad trades because of process. If they really have a process and they're really authentic, that may be fewer and far between, but it may be more valuable. Those people are going to share that. It's a great story. I mean, seeing people lose and then the next one and they come back and win, and seeing people who are really good at what they do, maybe seeing people who aren't that good, that have a lot to learn. But, if you have the story right there and it's real, then you can go back and watch it and say, okay, here's where I went wrong.
But what's your pitch to someone why they should do it?
Why they what?
Should do it.
Well, I think that the
only reason we're doing it is because I think it's actually a good idea. For
people love to share their stories. That's a great lesson from all of social media. Since Facebook. I mean, what's Facebook's like 15 years old already? Maybe 2004, 5, whatever. And even before, what was the one? What was that one before MySpace or whatever?
Yeah, Friendster.
Friendster. People love to share what they're doing about themselves, what they're into. If they're into cars, you go on their Instagram, they got a bunch of cars. People are into trading, they go into, and I mean, maybe it's ego, maybe it's narcissism, whatever, but there's healthy narcissism. I mean, people just like to share. Sometimes they go overboard.
No, but
I think so I think it could potentially tap into a basic thing.
Why should people keep track?
Well, that's
pitch that.
To me, the way I would want to use it, and again, this comes with me being a little older and already sort of getting a handle on that sharing thing that we were talking about before. I'm not as inclined to share everything anymore. The way that I would use it is I would use it for the journal thing.
Yeah.
So there's this, what happens is you create the story, you begin creating the story, you have moments within the story, and then a screen pops up and it says, who do you want to share it with? Private, just for you. Followers, only the people who are following you have control over that, and then finally public. I would pick that journal one, and then what I would do is I would go back. I would have moments during that trade where I came in and trade casted and be like, okay, now earnings is going to be reported this afternoon. There's volatility is super high, so I'm going to sell calls on part of my position or whatever I'm doing. I would explain it. And then the beautiful thing would be you'd be able to go back in a way that has never been invented before, go back and see what you did and post-mortem your own trade. Yeah. Cool thing about making it public is you can do that and have people, people say to you, hey, you really fucked up over here, or great trade. I mean, some of it is golf clap too, and which is the really, really cool thing also. Yeah. That's a whole other component to it too. Yeah. But so that for me would be super valuable.
Well, it's fun. You're fired up. I like it. I think it's key, right? Because you came before you worked at a big co, and before that was the end of Yahoo, I would call it. I mean, Yahoo's still around, but you spent a little time after Stocktwits at Yahoo.
Yahoo I can talk about. I can talk about Yahoo.
You can or can't?
I can, and I never talked about it before.
Okay. So my issue with Yahoo is I think you were burnt out on Stocktwits. You went to Yahoo. You had a great idea for them, a social idea. They brought you on. Who hired you?
Aaron Task.
Oh, well, Aaron's
great
a good
guy.
Okay, so Aaron hired you, and just quickly, what
I went to
hell?
him after Tumblr got bought, and I said, you know what you should do, and we did it too.
Yeah.
And you know what? I never talked about Yahoo before. I never. Like after I left, I got calls from the media, blah blah blah. You want to spill your guts? Yeah. Marissa Mayer was such a popular topic.
Yeah.
Never. I said no every single time.
Yeah, it's not worth doing anything.
Wasn't worth doing anything. They were terrible though. I mean, now I'll say it. Now, how many years later is it? Yeah. It's years later, and it's you talking. I'm talking to you. Oh, they were horrible.
But I knew that was going to happen. But it was a good offer, and you
got a great offer. It was a fun experiment. And I got everybody. Everybody to build the blog. We made this. It was such a no-brainer. Yeah. We made this template, this Yahoo, this Tumblr theme that was like the Yahoo Finance Tumblr theme. We got everybody on there, and then we built a pipe. That platform was in such shambles. Building that pipe was a fucking nightmare.
All they had to do was tag a post, put it on the ticker stream, kick off all the people that were milking your traffic. It was like a no-brainer. Free
content from some of the best people. We had Carl Icahn on there. We had O'Shaughnessy on there. By the way, just the best guy in the world. Yeah. We had him on there. We had Ritholtz and that whole gang, Josh. Yeah. We had everybody on there, and we knew who was, we knew who was up and coming
from Stocktwits,
and and everybody wanted to be on, and all you had to do was tag with the cash tag, and then we pulled you right into Yahoo Finance,
and you could kick off all the other people that were just spamming it.
The bigger we got, the whole Yahoo was going down, and the more we were growing
for them at the beginning.
The more I was growing, the worse they were to me. Yeah. And by the time we were really had momentum, they were treating me like just.
But what do you mean treating you? They just didn't understand it, or
I don't even want to go into it. I'm getting mad.
You
just
said you were going to go into it. Now you're not going.
Well, I just went into it a little bit.
Yeah.
But they treated me. They didn't treat me well.
She didn't. She wasn't involved.
Didn't.
It wasn't her.
She was involved. Her and the CMO, Kathy something or other.
What a nut job.
Oh. Those two were miserable people.
I think now.
They were horrible.
Yeah. Like
sorry.
You could see the decisions.
Sorry if you're watching. You
could see
really
by
blew
the decisions they were making.
They were very focused on themselves rather than the good of the company.
Yeah.
I mean, anything you're doing when you're in a company.
But it ended up where it should end up, in the graveyard.
Yes.
And
it was right.
What do you think of Yahoo Finance now? Like, people make fun of it, but it's still got a lot of traffic. Like,
I love some of the people there.
Yeah, I know the people.
I love Charlie Hartel. I love Miles. I love Sally.
But do you ever use the product?
No.
Yeah. And then what do you
Sam? Love Sam.
And so what do you use now?
They have good people. They had good people back then.
And what do you use now for?
They had Aaron, me, Santoli, and Jeff Mackey.
And the Mac. Mac is hilarious. Yeah. Okay, you got a hop. Mm-hmm. Linda, now where do you think about the markets? I know it's like we're going to air this end of September.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't care.
You don't care.
Just buy a little bit every month.
You're indexing.
I just simplified my life. Simplified this. Mm-hmm. The process is every month put a little bit into.
But now you're going to start private investing again, I imagine.
I'm going to play. Yep. I'm going to play on the app.
Yep. No, I mean private investing with like social leverage and stuff. You're going to get yourself back involved.
I never 100% stopped. I mean, even now, I was at the WealthStack conference.
Mm-hmm. Was there any cool companies?
Great.
I didn't see anything.
I thought Canvas was really cool.
Oh yeah.
I know you're talking with those guys.
But they're not raising money. Yeah,
but they're at a whole other level.
Yeah.
And I thought that Daniel Crosby. I think he's got work to do, but I think he's doing something really interesting. Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, I may be a little biased there. Plus, he's a great guy and a friend. Mm-hmm. But I think if he can pull that off, it'd be really, really cool. If he could, I'm really interested on prescriptive models to actually affect behavioral change, rational behavioral change in investors. So I'm kind of talking my own interest here, but it was fascinating to me because he's working on the same thing. So
All right.
we can be, simpatico doing that.
All right. Well, good luck on the launch.
Thank you.
And we'll have you back on. We should set up this. Stocktwits needs its own.
We're going to do it.
Room.
We're going to do it. There's a space there. There's already a TV there.
No, but
you're
just talk to these guys and just get it.
We'll set it up. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be video even.
Yeah.
I think our audio. Are you bullish on podcasting?
I like video.
You like video?
I like podcasting.
I've seen from my numbers that people don't want. I want them to watch because I'm taking the time. Like this isn't highly produced. This is highly produced.
Right.
Very easy.
Are you
on
doing
the
them
eyes.
every week?
I'm doing series on them. I did.
You
10.
have to do.
No,
you
I
have to be
understand. I
religious.
release
You
them
have to
every
go
week.
every week, same time.
Yeah.
You have a great name. You're not an attractive guy, but you're I mean, great on radio, great on podcasting. Face for radio. But no, I'm only kidding. You're doing great.
I prefer the insult.
No, really.
I prefer the
from
insults.
the bottom of my heart. I never liked you.
I prefer the insult.
Yeah, you're hockey puck. But I think it has to be really consistent. I think you have to put in the work. Yeah. I think you have to research it every week. You have to have production. You can't just you can't just say, hey, we're going to do one over here, we're going to do one over there.
No, I agree with it every week, but I don't think I need to. I think personality-based conversations are fine. I don't think I have to research. I don't have to go research you forever. Having smart people on and discussing things is interesting enough.
I think that's a good angle right there.
Yeah, like you can over-prepare for these things.
You have to have great people.
Yeah.
I mean, you just did a few in a row, and
I just did 4 in a row.
Morgan, Patrick, Raznick, and I'm the slouch in there.
Yeah.
But
I don't think you can predict
three.
which ones are ever going to be. I had a great conversation with Jason, completely off topic. He's a smart guy. Everybody's different.
Right.
And we can't predict which. Even Patrick, I was asking which ones went viral. You can't predict which ones are going to get passed around and which ones are going to resonate.
I would
with
just
people.
keep plugging away at this. I would just keep doing it. I mean, it's
it's
like
much
what do they
easier
say
than
about
filming
overnight
on
success?
the streets.
Right.
For me, it's like if something takes off, great. I can't predict which conversation will take off. But for me, it's.
Are you learning when you do them?
I am. I mean, it's, I'll get better at it. I think the hard part is, should I prepare? How much should I prepare? Or does the audience that I already have, the 10 or 20,000 people that tune in, does the audience I already have expect? They don't want me to
If you have somebody
prepare.
on who wrote a book, you have to read the book. That's, that's like table stakes.
If they want to talk about the book.
I think you have to know him. Like, who is that person? Like, know something about
Yeah,
him.
like
You can't
Morgan
just
I
be-
know because I read.
Right.
Patrick I know because I've listened to his podcast, been on his podcast. Jason I know because he's a schmendrick and he's funny and he can't
He's
keep
part
him
of
on
the crew.
topic.
He's part of the crew. Yeah.
And if you had a book, why would I read it?
Why would you read it?
Yeah.
No good
Come on.
reason.
There'd be no good reason. Unless it was a book on unibrows.
Yeah.
So how many times a day do you shave?
I shave 3-4 times a day. And I have like
All
my
right.
early morning.
Well,
have the
lots
after
of
lunch
nachos
shave.
to you and
Thank you.
nachos. And
We're going to do this.
good luck at Stock. Well, you need to do it.
Yeah.
I'll show up when I'm
Yeah.
in New York. I'd like to
Yeah.
bang out
No,
because the
please don't.
guests are in New York.
Please
the hard
don't.
part is getting
Just
people
stay
to come
away.
to.
Just don't.
The hard part is getting people to come to Phoenix.
This was a very
I don't
nice
wanna
trip.
do-
It's 110 degrees outside.
No, but I don't want to do things where I'm talking to a Skype screen. See, I refuse to do that.
Don't do it.
I'm not. So that's what makes
We're going to
hard
set
doing
one up
it every week.
We'll set something up in the Stocktwits thing, and
At
then
least when I'm in New York,
and
I
then
can
we'll
call
do-
ahead and get Fred and get like major
we're
people
going to do
come
this.
through New York.
We're doing it, and we're going to do it, and it's going to be in New York. There's space for it.
Yeah,
I know where the
Patrick
space
said he
is.
would come in and do his interviews there. He wants to do video.
Dude, we have to do it, and we need to like set those things up.
Yeah.
So like the week before,
But
it can't be like that
Stocktwits
morning
people
you get
interviewing
there.
Stocktwits people. You can let Patrick O'Shaughnessy. He
No, it
doesn't have a
should be
studio in
everything.
New York.
It
Let him
doesn't-
come and film stuff.
All
for
it
us.
has to do is be high quality content of interest to a similar audience.
Yeah.
That's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be like, okay, Stocktwits thing. It needs to be, can be much broader than that. That's
broader.
great. And
Barstool's
quality.
done a great job of that. Barstool's done a great job.
Barstool's done a great job.
Great job.
I mean, yeah, killed it.
Everybody talked about BuzzFeed, but it's the what do you call it? The hare and the rabbit and the turtle.
Right.
And Barstool's just been at it for 10, 12 years, 13 years, and they've got a celebrity. Dave's crazy, and now he's just anointing talent.
Yeah,
and
he
they
did
just
stay
keep
crazy,
trying stuff,
which is helpful.
I just don't think I couldn't do what he did. There was a moment when we did videos, and I just gave up. I can't be that person.
It's choices
I give
in
him
life.
credit.
It's a good point. It's a good point you're making.
I can't get dragged out of the Super Bowl. All right.
I got to run.
Anyways,
I got a plane to catch.
talk to you.
Dude, I love you. We're going to do this.
I like
We're
you.
gonna do it. Yeah. All right.